This lesson adds code that responds to the button layout shown in the previous lesson. In this lesson, whenever you click on a button with a mouse, a method is called inside the program with the identity of the button clicked. For an object to receive the events issued by a button when it's clicked, it must be an action listener, which it becomes by implementing the action listener interface. This could have been accomplished by writing a separate class to implement the interface, but in this example we have our frame implement the interface. It's generally convenient to have the container class of the components be the ones that listens for user input. That way the code is all in one place and it's easier to work with. Anyway, the structure of this program is the same as the one in the previous example. It's a frame that's called on to manage the display of a single component returned from a call to the method makePanel. The makePanel method creates a panel object and populates it with 4 buttons. Each button is created and a call is made to its addActionListener method to add an ActionListener object to its internal list. Whenever this button is clicked, each ActionListener object in its internal list will be notified. Now this makePanel method creates 4 buttons, calls the addActionListener method of each button to insert this ActionListener object into the internal list of each one. Then it uses the add method of the panel object to add each button to the display. Now, let me summarize just where we are. At the end of this method, 4 buttons and a panel have been created. All 4 buttons have been given the same ActionListener object to report to when the button is clicked, and each button has been added to the list of components to be managed and displayed by the panel. Oh, wait a minute. Before we leave this method, notice that the declarations of the buttons are local to this method. That means that when this method returns to its caller, the references will no longer exist. That's okay, though, because the panel holds references to all the buttons, and we'll know when they're clicked because they'll report that to the action listener. The action listener interface requires the implementation of the actionPerformed method. Whenever a button is clicked, this method is called with an action event object containing all the information about the button. It actually contains more information than any reasonable program will ever need to know. For example, it contains a millisecond level timestamp indicating when the button was clicked. It contains code telling you which keys on the keyboard were held down while the button was clicked. It even has a unique ID number. But the most valuable thing it contains is a string indicating which button was pressed. You can get a copy of the string, as we do here, by calling getActionCommand. Now, the action command defaults to the same as the label on the button, but you can change it to something else if you prefer. Anyway, all this program does is print out the action command. Let me show you how it works.